Hey guys, what's up? So in this video we'll be discussing about Spring Boot 4 migration. As you know, in month of December, this month only, Spring Boot 4 has been released. So we'll see how we can migrate from Spring Boot 3 to Spring Boot 4 without much manual work. It will be automation, and we'll be using GitHub Copilot, as you can see on the screen, and then we'll be using MCP Server. So the MCP server I'll be writing in Java. You can write in Python as well, but everything it will fall into the place when you will go to the VS Code. Alright. So let's go over the steps. What we'll do as part of the migration. So I just highlighted a few steps, step 1, step 2 till this point where we'll do the automation, and you'll see that it's very smooth, not much manual work. But perhaps it will be the project which I'll be migrating is having Kafka and O services. So you'll see how it does, and you can try this for a larger project or multi-module project. Now in step 1, what we'll see, we'll go over the migration. The Spring official, they have released this documentation. Now if you see, right, this documentation, it has a lot of things, and so for a normal person, right, you can go over each of the things, but we cannot remember all of them. So what we'll do as part of this project, I'll download this, then we'll feed this into the AI model through the MCP server, and ultimately the AI model, it will read this and it will do the manipulation. Basically it will replace if any replacement are there. And maybe for Spring Boot 4, if there are all the new features, right, I might create one more video, but in this video we'll not go for the new features and all, right? So we'll just focus on the migration. Now what we can do for this documentation, right, if I go a little bit down further, I can download this file. So there must be a GitHub link, most probably somewhere here. Let's quickly scroll up. Yep, you can. So you can see here, guys, to clone this I can take these, and I can clone this GitHub repo. So that's what I have done. So this is the step 1. So this is the migration guide which Spring has officially launched. So I'll take this as my reference point, and then we'll do the migration, right? So this step 2 is basically the Spring AI. So I'll be creating the MCP server. Now for the MCP server, there are many approaches you can follow. I'll be using the Java, and if you have Python, right, you can go and use the Python as well. This is up to you. So I'll be using the Spring AI. So in Spring AI, if you see, right, there are many versions out there. I'll be using the latest version. So I'll be using this version, a milestone version. I'll be using it, but you can take any of the version, that should work. All right. Now let's go to the step 3. So in the step 3, I'll be downloading the VS Code. Now just make sure that, right, this VS Code which I am using it 105 version, right? So because these things are quite often they are changing it, this VS Code, right? Now if you download this, it might download the latest version. So just to avoid that, right, because the new releases of VS Code might not be in same line with the Java release or the Spring AI release, right? So that might cause some issues. Now just to make sure that nothing breaks at your end, you just make sure that you use this VS Code, this release. All right. Now, so once the VS Code is ready, we'll go to the Copilot, and we'll go to the extensions in VS Code. I'll show everything, and then we'll be downloading the GitHub Copilot from the extension. And what we'll do, we'll try to set up whatever the MCP server we have. We'll launch this MCP server. This step 2. So we'll try to connect that MCP server in this here, right? So stay connected in the video till the end. I'll show how it works, and it's very amazing. So you'll just love it actually. All right, let's go to the. We'll start with the MCP server now. So for the MCP server, what you can do, you can go to the Spring initializer, and from there you can download a Spring project. So if I show you how we can do this. All right, so I am in Spring initializer, so you can go here and you can download the dependency. You can add here MCP, and once you add this, right, so we'll be doing the Spring MCP server now. So once I'll select this, and then I'll be selecting this Gradle. You just make sure that all these things you just selected. Once you click on the explore, right, so you'll see that MCP server has been added. um, so this is the MCP server has been added, and then you can see the version. I can see the version they have added, 17. Okay, looks like they have added the 1.1.2. That's okay. I mean, you can use this version as well, should not be a problem. Once you download this, you just unzip it, and then you can start working on it. All right, let's go to the project now. So once you unzip it, right, you'll first, let's go to the application YML file. So in application YML file, we have to make sure that, right, it has the MCP related configurations. Now these configurations, you can create these beans of your own, or you can put in the MCP in application YML file. Now there are many types of protocols out there. Stateless, I'll be using it, and it will be async. Now these things are very important because I have to expose one MCP endpoint, and you can see here MCP endpoint. Just make sure that you don't play around with this. Just copy paste this. All right, and once it is done, you just go to the tools. Okay, I think I'm going too fast. If you are not aware of what is MCP, right? It's a model context protocol. I have a lot of videos on this. You can go to my channel and you can scroll up, right? So you'll see a lot of videos on MCP. Okay, now how MCP works, right? It has tools. Now that is the heart of the MCP, right? It's like a REST API in the web services. So the AI can understand the tools, and whatever the description I'll put in the tools, it will make sure that it will read that, and it will call the appropriate tools, right? So in this, right, what I have done, I have created only one tool. In your case, if you want more flexibility, because the release version, right, if you go there, you'll see they have only one release notes or the migration guide, but inside that, let's say for Jackson also, they have lot of varieties out there. So for each of them, you can create one tools, right? So there are a lot of changes are in the Jackson. So if I so what I mean, actually, I'll just show what I mean. So what I said, if I go to migration guide in and just search for Jackson. So yeah, Jackson. So you can see here that there is one more wiki page is there. So this is again one more story is here for the Jackson. So you can download this and expose this as one more tool for your project, right? So I'm just doing a demo, right? So I'll not spend much time, but this is what you can do. So you can expose one more tool for the Jackson. Yeah. So this is the overall guide, right? And then what I have done, so I have injected one bean. So this is the bean I'll be injecting from outside, and ultimately what it will do, it will read the wiki file, so the migration file. Now this migration file, it's there in my so if you see here, right, so it is there in my class path. And of course I got this from the Spring documentation, but you can see over here, this is my migration. Basically this is the documentation which Spring is providing. I downloaded that, right? And you just make sure that this file, it will be always be changing, right? Because you will see version 1, version 2, version 3. So your system has to be capable enough to download this newer version and make sure that your MCP is up to date. All right, so now in this file, in this project, I have the source file, and I have created the tools. So tools, and tools has a dependency of this migration helper service. So for this, we have to go to the config. So there are some configuration we have to pass. So if you see here, I have this tool callback. These things I already explained in my previous videos, right? This is just a bean we have to create for the tool callback. So ultimately, the AI agent, right, it will call the toolbacks, all the toolback providers. So it will list down all the toolback providers, and it will memorize that these are the tools I have. Now based on the the input or the chat, it will call all those tools, right? So this is the tools you have to define, right? And this is the bean I'm passing. So this bean is nothing but if you go here, I already mentioned that as a service. So it's bean is already available to the Spring. All right. So let's go to the config. Yeah, so I'm passing this bean, and you'll see that this bean, and this is the migration, and this is the Spring Boot for migration tool, which is nothing but this tool which I have defined. Right, it's very easy, very simple, not fancy things I have written. Now what we'll do, we'll just make this service up and running. Right, that's all. These three things you have to do. I added few more things, controller, just to see how the responses are there. If you want, you can add these controllers just to test my APIs. I did that, right? So you can test this API. So let me run this service. All right. So as you can see here, my service is running, and it's running on 8081 port. And just to make sure that whatever the tool you have registered, it should reflect in the logs. So logs, not logs, sorry, tools I should search. So if I search for the tools, it's showing that registered one tool, which means that it registered. Now just make sure that you will just, okay, so I have now some space. Now we'll make sure that our VS code connects to this guy. All right, so what I mean actually, if I go to again my documentation, so this is my documentation. If I go here, so the VS code you have to download, right? So once you download, it's already there in my system, VS code. So once you download, what you have to do, you just come here in the somewhere there'll be, you can see these boxes, right? Extensions. So this square box, you just click over here, all right, and then you just search for GitHub Copilot. So I already installed it. So this is the GitHub Copilot I have. All right, so you can install the GitHub Copilot, right? So once you install, it's totally free, and you can install it. There are some tokens out there. If you exhaust that, it will go, but I think that is enough for our experiment. So you can add this, you can install this. I forgot which one, but one of them was the GitHub Copilot. So I believe you just install this one, and then you have to log into the GitHub repo, or if you have already GitHub repo, well and good, just redirect it. And once you do that, you'll have this kind of you can see here, you have this you can chat with the VS code. Just minimizing it, right? Now there are quite a few modes out there. Since it's a free version, I'm just getting agent, args, edit, and I'm sorry. So there are quite a few models are there. Since it is a free version, I'm getting only these models, but there are many other models out there. If you go for pro version, you can get few other models, because these models matters a lot. And I'll show how it matters, right? So once it is done, right, so your GitHub Copilot is done, right? So you can just send a hi, and then we'll make sure that it's running, right? And if it doesn't run, just restart your VS code. All right, so now what you'll do, as I written over here, right? So you have to do Control Shift P from your if it is a Windows laptop. So I'll just Control Shift V, window will come like this. Now you just do add server over here, right? And then since I'm using the stateless, right, you just do HTTP. So I'll be using HTTP connection, and there are like STDIO are there, right? So for that you have to use a different protocols. So I'm using HTTP. So you just click here HTTP and give your server details here. So in my case is HTTP, and then local host. I'm hosting in 8081, and then just give MCP2. Okay, once you do that, so that this is the name of the server, it will come. Okay, and you have to make sure global or workspace. Global means it will run across everything, and not only this workspace, and it will go to your C drive if it is a Windows laptop. Right? And if we are clicking on the workspace, that means in this workspace it will create one mcp.json, which you can see here in my screen already. it's already there because I already playing with this. Now just click on that, it will add over here automatically if it is not there. All right, and if it is there, then it will just add one more. All right, I'm just removing this because it will be redundant for this guy. Now this is the best part, so once you have this, you'll see these buttons are there, start, stop, and all these buttons, it will come automatically. So this is how beautiful it is. All right, now let me just add a few more and then click on start. Once you click on start, see it's showing as running, and as you can see here, there are some logs that have been printed. All right, there is one more thing I think I forgot to add, is in my application YAML file I have added the MCP context protocol as a debug mode. That's the reason you are seeing the logs in the debug form, right? So all right, so this is done, so the setup is done. Now my MCP also it's getting connected, right? Now we have to just ask question to this guy. Now if you see, right, I'll try to migrate this project, and this project is using 357 Spring Boot, right? And then it's using JDK20, and there are some dependencies are there, like for example Kafka, then starter web. Basically it's the web-based project, right? So these are the dependencies are there. Now let me ask the question to our agent that could you please help me to migrate from could you please help me to migrate 4. Let's see whether it can detect or not. Oh man, looks like it exhausted my. Okay, all right, looks like there are some issues with my account because I was trying with this. So you can see here, right, it called that Spring Boot 4 migration documentation, right? So you can see here this ran. You can see the Mriang Spring Boot 4 migration guide. This is what we have defined the tool over here. So this is the tool, Mrigang Spring Boot 4 migration guide. So this is the guide called, right? So let's give an allow. I hope it will work. Okay, looks like it's working. And just see here GPT 4.1 I'm using. The reason being I'm not happy about it because it doesn't have all the good versions of the models, because it matters a lot. And this model, the more the good model is, and the migration will be more smoother, and it can change more and more files. Okay, so looks like it did change few things. So if you go to the the migration guide, let's go to the migration guide once. Okay, this is the migration guide, and you can see here, let's see what it does. Okay, let's search for this guy. Yeah, so this is what it has done correctly. So it has changed it. Let's, yeah, so you can see here this got deprecated with this, so this it got changed. And security, okay, well and good, it did that. Okay, yeah, this guy also it got deprecated. Okay, ought to. What else is done? Okay, so it has done with. Okay, this is good. It's using 4.0. This is what it's mentioned over here from the documentation, right? Now let's see what else it has done. So it has changed only the Gradle. Okay, this is surprising. Ideally it should change few other files because it has Jackson's. Hmm. So we have to train this model a little bit more. Not train, actually, our documentation should be good enough to explain this. As I said, right, I'm using GPT 4.1. So if it is GPT 5, I would have been taken few more steps, right? Okay, let me do one thing. Let me just skip it and then let's see what else it can do. Oh, looks like it's now looking for the Jackson file. Okay, that's good. Meanwhile, I'm just having my coffee. Hmm. Okay, this is good. Looks like it got detected here. Okay, see this object mapper. Yeah, this is good because in Jackson, right, they have changed the object mappers. Okay, let's do one thing. So this is what one change. So from the Jackson object, so it has changed this. Okay, okay, let's go and search. Okay, so JSON object serializer. Okay, this is good. So looks like it's doing right things. Let's skip it. Let's see what it'll do. Okay. Um, so I should run each of them, then I could have understand, whether it's working or not. Okay, I think it is done with this. So I think this is all about the video. So now I can save each of the files and then yeah, I think these two files I was wanting to change. Let's see what rest client, is there any change? 1 minute, let me see here. Rest client. Somewhere I read that rest client has changed to rest 5 client, something like this. Oh yeah, you can see here, right? So in this one changes, is it not it? Okay, because I'm using rest client, maybe I have to see that. But this is most like 60% it has done, but it's work. So we have to tune our documentation so that the AI can understand, we can feed to the AI and it can do more better job. And again, as I said, right, our GPT 4.1, it also matters. Okay, so I'll end this video with a note that we'll come up with one more video and we'll put precise documentation instead of this giant documentation. We'll just precisely tell that these are the things you have to change and just go there and just change it. All right, thank you so much, and please do like, subscribe.